to see our beautiful African children shine and infinitely thrive. I mean, really be alive, embracing the pure essence of their greatness, awakeness, living in their divine purpose, brown brilliance, relentless resilience. Oh yeah, this is about producing young Black entrepreneurs on fire, building intergenerational empires. I envision, you envision, we must envision the ultimate degree of success. No more economic and spiritual distress, totally free and clear of the systematic matrix. So how do we take our children from destitute to determination? From struggle to strategy, from absence to abundance. Now that we have the vision, what's the plan? Hotep and greetings everyone. My name is Queen Taese and I'm coming to you from the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Institute. As I like to say, hi on the Liberated Minds frequency. Pew! Just really purely excited to be here. It is an honor to have been invited to be a part of the Black Sustainability Summit 2017. This is the second annual. And so we're going to keep on forging forward with our strong fortitude and our willpower to bring this together. I look forward to all of the radiant and the vibrant and the brilliant connections that will be made through this 2017 Black Sustainability Summit. We have to make the most of it. And I am really and truly excited about sharing some of myself and who I am with you, and some knowledge and information that I know will assist you. And feel free to reach out after this at any given point for further questions, information, so that way we can build, we can bond, and we can take this further for our babies and our beautiful African divine children. This is truly their birthright. And this is all about, every little bit of it is about standing in our true power and realizing, recognizing that we have everything that we need right within our community, right within ourselves, right within our cells, everything that we need. So with that being said, I'm going to leave my quick contact information. I'll leave you my email, which is theliberatedmindsfrequency@yahoo.com. That's the theliberatedmindsfrequency@yahoo.com. And you can also feel free to go to theliberatedmindsfrequency.com to get more information about some of the works that I do, from assisting homeschoolers, wannabe homeschoolers, those of us who are considering it, those of us who are just ready and tired of dealing with a system that is not designed for our prosperity, who are really coming into the true awakening of what is needed to change this whole paradigm. It is truly, everything truly lies within our children. So with that being said, taking the wonderful pride and getting ready for those beautiful challenges and those awesome triumphs when we see our children excel, really feels good. So I am a homeschool mother of over 20 years now, and it has truly been an amazing journey. I want to share a lot of things with you that I feel will give you that extra confidence and competence to feel good, stand strong, and stay the course when it comes to educating our children and our African families. So with that being said, I'll go into a little bit more detail later, but you're definitely in for a treat, and I look forward to sharing once again, and I also look forward to receiving your feedback and any questions that you may have. All right, here we go. Okay, so some of the things that I will be covering and speaking about during my presentation will deal with the types of homeschooling that exist, and really demystifying a lot of the questions that you have. In addition to that, we'll be diving in a little bit to the resources, because we deal with our resources, our African-centered resources, our Black resources that are created for us, by us. We also will deal with the various aspects of training how do we train ourselves? What are some things that we can do to train ourselves? And then where are some of the places that we can go to get the proper training? Because as we know, when it comes to educating African children, we have a very specific way that we've done for thousands of years. And so we want to dive into what are some of those principles? What are some of those things that really have allowed us to thrive for that long duration of time from an educational standpoint, a holistic educational standpoint, which is truly the African way. And then one of the things that I love that has assisted me in my whole mental thinking is something that I actually put together called educational nutrition. And when we think about nutrition for the body, we recognize that there are certain elements that we need. There's certain things that we need within our body to make it function to its maximum potential. And it's kind of the same thing with education. When we talk about the development and the cultivation of our beautiful African youth, we want to make sure that they are receiving everything that they need, all the components and the dynamics that they need so that they can ultimately thrive and shine and stand in their divine purpose and carry out all of the things that they're supposed to do during this lifetime. So with that being said, I look forward to getting this started, and yeah, here we go. Let's do it. So the first thing I want to get into is let's do a little mental training. Let's get our mind in the right place. One of the things that we do so much is we give all the reasons why when we want to make certain changes in our life. And I know change is hard. Believe me, I know change is hard. It's difficult. It's challenging. But we have to embrace it. We got to love it. We got to know that this is part of the journey. And one of the things is we have to get our mind right. We can't start off with making all these excuses about why we cannot take control of our children's education, why it is too challenging, why it is too difficult. If we claim and we make the declaration that this is what we want to do and this is what we know is 100% needed, then we have to make the commitment. We have to be dedicated to this. And what I tell parents all the time, sisters and brothers that I meet that say, well, how do you do it? And you've been doing it for so long. And, I don't want to have to quit my job and all these different excuses. The first thing I say is, well, what is it that you want to do? Do you really want to homeschool? Do you really want to take the strength and power of your child's education into your own hands? And if the answer is yes, then focus on all of the resources and the ways to get it done. No excuses, only results. So like a just a pure straight focus. Kilimanjaro, nonstop. No peripheral vision, just straight focus on what it is that you want. When you live this, and even if you don't have all of the answers right now, just taking that step forward, first just declaring it, and then beginning the affirmations for it to come into fruition, your meditations for it to come into fruition, you're speaking it out loud, saying what it is you want, speaking to different brothers and sisters about it, putting it out in the ethers, in the universe. In addition to that, taking the necessary, taking the necessary steps that are needed, finding the resources. The Liberated Minds Black Homeschooling Education Institute. This is why this was created, because I know when I first started homeschooling, I was in that same position, and it wasn't easy, not knowing who to connect with, where to go. I didn't even know about homeschooling initially, just starting out. It was something that I had to research and find out more because I was committed to the fact that my children were not going to go to the public school system. I was committed to that. I was committed to culture being the center point of their life, their spirituality. And so with that being said, I learned along the way. And the beautiful thing about right now is we have so many brothers and sisters who've been homeschooling for a long time. We have so many of our cultural resources popping up each and every day. So there's no more excuse about that, there's not enough books for our children. There's not enough curriculum materials for our children. There's not enough resources for us. We have everything that we need. I will reiterate that again. So focusing on the ways that we can get it done, there is no lack. There is no I can't. We have to make it happen. And this is, I believe in my heart, a strong reason for my participation in the African Sustainability Summit, because I know that this is what this is about making sure that the connections are made and that the resources are put out there for our people to make the necessary steps and changes for our true African liberation. This is the time. This is it. So I just want to put that out there because mindset is everything. We have to know that we can do each and everything that we set out to do and keep our mind and focus only on that. That's it. All right, so I want to talk about types of homeschooling. I want to alleviate and eliminate a lot of the misconceptions when it comes to what homeschooling is and how exactly it can be done prosperously. Um, One of the ways that we can do this is just recognizing who we are. We are, as African people, the most creative people on the planet. And with that being said, we have taken what Yorugus and Europeans call homeschooling, which is really just holistic education, and we have magnified it times 10. And so there are many different facets and ways that this can get done. It's not just about you sitting at home with your child and that's it, and no other and nothing else going on, no other richness. It really is what you make it. How creative do you really want to get with it? I know when I first started out, one of the things we loved to do is we would go to the park. We would sit under trees in homeschool. We would talk. We would read books. We would probe our environment, just go around and see what's around, what little animals, what creatures, what insects. We would make our life our classroom, our world our classroom, our universe our classroom. And so that is one way when we think of homeschooling that we can do this is, first of all, just getting outside of the essence of what we know education to be. Education, as Dr. Amos Wilson said, ooh, the purpose of it is for the survival of a people, for the survival of a people. And when we think about survival and life and living, we want to make sure that we're looking at it from a holistic perspective. So one of the ways that we can homeschool is we can come together as a collaboration. You have multiple types of collaborations. You have co-ops and you have collectives. You have also online classes and workshops. You have home schools themselves, which tend to be either African-centered schools, cultural schools. We want to make sure that whatever independent school that we choose, we want to make sure that the foundation is African-centered, that the center is our culture and our way of living, because that is the foundation of who we are, the essence of who we be. So with the online workshops, what I love about that is being able to capture some of the information and connect with people who may not necessarily be in your specific area. And that has its wonderful attributes, that those experiences. I'm not a huge fan of doing that all day or every day of the week, just because of the different elements that just being on the computer so much opens up, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself. However, there are a lot of great African-centered programs. You have Fawa Hodie Shua online. You have Aya Education, which is a great online institute. You have, I'm trying to think of a couple of them I can throw out there to you. You have Afro Ventures, which is awesome. You have so much out here and some wonderful, incredible sharings and classes and workshops that your children can take part in. In addition to that, you have homeschool co-ops where parents come together and they decide who's going to do what, and that way, you're allowed to still, you're able to, not allowed, but you're able to still work or maybe carry out some of your scheduling that you need for sustenance and to maintain. You kind of work together as a collective, where so and so may work with the children on Monday from 10 to 2. You might be the one to come in on Thursday from 4 to 6, or whatever scheduling that you create. And it allows you to really pull on your talents and your gifts and your strength, and for everybody to put that together to educate the children. And that's similar to what a collective is as well, a homeschool collective. Because with the collective, you have families that come together to talk about what curriculum you're going to implement, how you're going to work with the children. Everybody has their different talents and gifts and ideas and skills, and it really is a wonderful support system to be able to accomplish your goals. Now, the other aspect of homeschooling is we have our individual homeschools, which are like the African-centered schools, or you may have just small educational settings that are specifically, of course, geared towards the education, the independent education of our children. And so you have that also as a resource. And then also just simple, get with your sister, get with your brother. A few families, doesn't have to be anything huge. You have a few others that you come together with, you collaborate on for experiences, for knowledge, for support, for all of those elements. So no longer do we need to hold in our mind that homeschooling is simply sitting at home with our children. We're the only ones that are sitting with them, and we have to quit our jobs and all of this. All of that is a fallacy. It doesn't exist in our world. And so the things that you might not be as strong in, say you are excellent at say science, and then with the math you may not be as strong, or I call it my automatics. You may not be as strong in that area, so you bring someone else in. It doesn't have to be all you. We all have areas that we are really strong and powerful and excellent at, and we have those things that we leave to, you leave people to do what they do. So you get the best of the best, and you bring them in to do the things that you may not want to do, or simply just may not want to do it, or that you just don't feel well equipped to do. So as a community, once again, that brings in the community structure, the umoja, for us coming together and collaborating with our different skills and our different resources and bringing that as a whole. So I hope that explains, I trust that will explain that and clear some misconceptions up. It's just a great way for myself, and it's proven also for others, to be able to remember some of the necessities that our children need when we talk about putting together their life plan. And so what I like to do is I like to compare it to our physical nutrition, because we know that our body is definitely in need of certain specific vitamins that help to keep us well, all of the components that help to keep us healthy and thriving at our maximum physical potential. So it's the same thing with the educational piece. Um, Vitamin A, I'm going to start with vitamin A, and I encourage all of you to take notes as well. Vitamin A deals with academic success. So when we think of A, we think of academic success. And I first want to start with, what is success? Making sure that we're looking at our own definement of what that means. There's so many definitions in the way that people act, the way that they think. Some people just focus success on being able to acquire material things. But I think I'm pretty sure at this point, as African people, we have to make sure that we are looking at things from a holistic, once again, holistic standpoint. And I spell that not just with the HOL, but the WHOL, holistic, because it is creating the whole, cultivating the whole being, the whole spirit of our children. And so Um, it's a process. Let me say that it's not easy. As we are working on so much within ourselves as parents, we have a mighty task, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you. So, vitamin A academic success is looking at what are the things that foster the studiousness in our children, getting them to ask questions, encouraging them to not just accept the answers that have been told to us, but to research where do those answers come from? How do these perspectives come into being? And so getting them to think, when we talk about creating thinkers, not just accepting what you're being told. And that really allows for our children's minds to open up and for them to research, research, research. In the public school system, as you know, they only require you to regurgitate information. And then we read all the materials and the books and everything that we have to take as fact and as truth. But getting our children to really dive into that, I think, is a huge part of their academic success. In addition to that, getting them out of the classroom, out of what the so-called physical classroom. Let's not just bring the public school system home, which a lot of brothers and sisters that I connect with, they're so worried about being in sync with the public school system. If you talk about academic success, for African people, that way beyond exceeds the public school system standards, because our standards way beyond exceed that. And so when we really truly dive into the essence of learning and not just trying to keep up with someone else's standard, we'll see that we will surpass that. And so that's important to know. So vitamin A, academic success. And there's a lot more information that I want to share about each of these components. Of course, I'm dealing with a very small time frame. So once again, I encourage you to reach out to the Liberated Minds Black Homeschooling Education Institute. We also have an expo, the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo, that takes place right here in Atlanta, Georgia, every third weekend in July. So there's a lot of information. Of course, everything cannot be shared on this particular video, but I want to encourage you to continue to reach out and request more information and resources. And in addition to that, during this video, I also will post some information for you as well. So vitamin B. Vitamin B is simply just that. It's to be. We do so much running and going and doing. And some of our greatest moments and our greatest epiphanies and the things that come to us in listening to our inner selves, our intuition. This is the essence of our true African spirituality and who we are if we just be. Be still. Be meditative. Do your yoga. Find out about your various rituals, from our libations, the things we do to honor our ancestors, the things we do to honor nature, being amongst nature, being outside in nature, appreciating the essence of the rivers, of the oceans, of the trees, of the birds, of the bees, the animals, of ourselves, of our true divine selves. If we just be still, be in the essence of who we are. And this is one of the greatest ways we can tap into the essence of our soul. This is so important because a lot of times we think of education, we always want to just go and we'll put them in this program and make sure they get here and make sure they take this workshop and this class. And we do so much running. And I know for myself, having 7 children and doing that, it can be a little overwhelming at times. As you're trying to just find that time to be. So if we can incorporate that in our children's daily lives, for them to get up and do maybe some journaling about how they're feeling, about maybe what they learned the day before, and maybe what they dreamt about, taking that time for their meditation, for the libations, just being still and honoring life, giving thanks for life and living. Vitamin C is our culture. and our character. One of the greatest things about African education is that there's a huge emphasis on character building. Character building is a huge part and foundation of our African traditional culture. When we talk about character, in a lot of our African indigenous traditions, the true educational process starts just with that, with the character building. And all of the academics and things like that are not introduced till much later, sometimes as late as 6, 7, 8 years old. While the first foundational years are focused on what type of person, how do we interact with each other? What is your level of integrity? How do we cultivate that? We want to make sure that all of the aspects in the value system is intact and in place. Utilizing our African proverbs for understanding how we view life. Utilizing our symbols, our Adinkra symbols and our Kemetic symbols and all of the various symbols that help to show us what life is about. That is much more important for African culture, for our thriving of our academic success and all of the other things and components that bring up our well-being and our life and living. Character is the foundation of our culture, and the culture is the blood that runs through our veins for so many thousands of years. All of the information that exists within our DNA are how would I put it? The whole the blueprints for how we are supposed to be and exist, and make sure that from day to day we carry out the traditions of our people. One of the things that Nana Marimba Ani has says, which I love, is that our culture is our immune system. If we want to be well, we have to live within the essence and the ways of our culture. It is the way. All right, so here we go, moving along. Now, vitamin D. Vitamin D deals with our determination, teaching our children to be determined, to have that strong Heru energy, the willpower. This is the whole essence of when we deal with the science of our body, our solar plexus, meditating on everything that we want to see come into fruition, and teaching them that there is no giving up, that there is no I can't, that each and everything can get done if we put our mind to it, making sure that we're not over praising them with everything, letting them sometimes let them struggle a little bit to kind of work through what it is they got to do, and support them along the way through that process, even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable for them. And another big one, I'm trying to figure out which direction I should go with it with the time we have. But another one that's truly, I would say, huge for vitamin D is the detoxification of indoctrination. This is referring to us as educators, as parents. We have to truly make a commitment each and every day, ongoing for the rest of our lives, to focus on our own detoxification of indoctrination. Otherwise, we are passing on the same pathology, just in a different way, to our children. We have to be committed to our spiritual development. We have to be committed to our intellectual development. We have to be committed to our physical development, making sure that we're healthy, making sure that we're well mentally, physically, and spiritually. And because of all of the indoctrination that we have received through a lot of our public school upbringings, or just the environment that we're in, it's so easy to just adopt a lot of the ways that are destructive in the way that we speak to our children, and the way that we dress our children, and the foods that we feed our children. And that's something that I really enjoy being on the journey of, is just coming into new understandings and saying, okay, and it's all right. You know, a lot of times we educate our children in a certain way, and you know, a year later, you find out more information as you're on your journey seeking knowledge, and you recognize that that's not the best way anymore. And it's okay to share that with our children because they're on a journey with us. They chose us. They chose us as their parents. We chose them as our children for whatever life's lessons that we're supposed to incur for all of our greater good. So don't be afraid to just kind of backtrack on things sometimes as you get more information. And you say, no, well, we're not going to do that anymore. I don't feel that's the best way for us to do that. And so I want to encourage you to seek other brothers and sisters who are clearly on that same journey and that path and committed to it, because you're going to need it. So many things will come up. Homeschooling is not a bubble that is exempt of all of the world's ill wills and toxic environments and all of this. It is just, it is taking a driver's seat in the educational process of our children. There are experiences that they will experience that you will be up close and intimately connected with them in a better way to help them work through it. Because a lot of people have this misconception that homeschooling is this situation where that we don't have to deal with anything of this Urugu or European society. That is so untrue, because as we are working together collaboratively, one of the main reasons and purposes of our homeschooling is so that we can truly gain our African sovereignty, and we can, and when I say sovereignty, I'm speaking solely about the essence of living how we live, living how we want to live, being how we want to be, not being dictated to by others of how we need to do things. You know, having, when we talk about instilling this in our children, so that way they are not looking to anyone else but our own people for everything that we need. And that's a whole mindset, and it takes time of cultivating, but it also takes results. It takes our children to be able to see the positive results, not just the struggle in it or the challenge in it, I like to say, because I don't struggle. I like to feel good about the process of learning, of growing, and sometimes it feels a little bit uncomfortable. However, it's what's needed. It's the seasoning that's needed to make it all the greater. All right, so vitamin E, which is one of my favorites as well, our economic empowerment. Building up strong, economically powerful communities throughout the African diaspora. And when we talk about this, we really have to dive into supporting Black businesses, which I love. Everyone is talking about it. Everybody's, you know, working on being about it and making sure that we are supporting and going into our Black businesses, buying what we need from them as much as possible. And I understand sometimes we have to go into these other establishments, but showing our children the importance of sometimes paying a little bit more, sometimes going a little bit out of our way, sometimes being a little bit more tolerant, because they may not have all of the amenities of some of the other establishments. However, the highest value and pride and essence of supporting our own, teaching our children what that looks like, what it feels like, and really diving into the communal sense of entrepreneurship, leaving capitalism by the wayside, because capitalism really focuses on making money by any means necessary, not putting money back in the community where we live, where we thrive, but taking money out of blood-sucking the community. So keeping our children's mindset in the sense of when we go into business, we also go into business not just to raise capital, but to raise consciousness, as Baba Chica Ku always shares, to raise consciousness amongst our people, to support our people and the needs of our community. This is key. And as we rear our children, we want them to think in the sense of producers and not just consumers. What can you produce? What type of service? What type of product, quality product that you can produce that is beneficial for the overall well-being of our community. We need to make sure that they're thinking big. So if they want to do a lemonade stand, have them do the research and the studying about lemons. Take it a little bit further, the research about different types of lemons and where they grow and what types of sweeteners that can be utilized. Let them dive fully in so this becomes a full life experience. I love the young sister, Sister Michaela Omer, if you all are not familiar with her, who has the Be Sweet Lemonade, who now just got, I think, $11 million contract or something. And I don't know how much of that as African people is going fully into our hands. However, got to be careful with that too. But in addition, her whole story is family inclusive. I mean, we really are talking about the essence of the African family. The recipe that she utilized was from her grandmother, and her mother, I believe, is her manager, and her father deals with the company. So everybody has a piece in this. So when we talk about entrepreneurship with our young ones, we want to talk about the science of money and what money is. Where does it come from? What does it really mean? The currency, the energy that is put out, because that's the real currency. The energy, the spiritual alchemy of what we put into our exchange. And so getting them to understand about different African traditions of money, how we use cowrie shells, and there's other things that we utilize and continue to utilize for an exchange. What value is. A lot of the terminologies. What is a profit? Let them dive into the, the financial literacy. Really dive into different options. How can we use our money and make it grow? How can we maintain our money? All of the things within our community. What are the things that we can put our money into? Teaching them to donate, to give. Don't just receive, but you're receiving money for your service and your product because someone gave to you and supported you. So now, will you take that, and how can you give that forward to someone else to continue the prosperity? So that's really key, and there's a multitude of other components, but youth entrepreneurship is extremely important and is this extreme focal point in the rearing of our children. So for all of that wonderful information being shared, there are still a multitude of challenges out here that we face each and every day. For the righteous rearing of our children, but it is so worth it. Our children are our greatest investment. Some of the things that people share about, their financial situation, because of course, dealing with the detoxification of indoctrination of the mind and wanting to give our children the best of education, that also a lot of times comes with our own wanting to leave the plantation and not deal with any aspect of corporate America or working for anyone else. And that, of course, is an extremely important component as well. And so some challenges come around that. Some challenges may come around devising or implementing curriculum or socialization. A lot of people have questions about college. Can my child go to college if this is some of your goals? And I'm a firm believer that college is not ultimately necessary for everyone. And this gets back into my initial statement, which is defining our own success and determining if strategically we need to send our children to college. And then strategically, if we do, which colleges do we need to send them to? And all of those different elements and components, because our success is definitely not dependent upon that. And this has been proven over and over and over again. So also, in addition to that, a lot of people face a lot of opposition. They say, okay, I want to homeschool, and sometimes grandparents or aunties or uncles or even some of our closest sisters and brothers may not necessarily agree or sanction it and be supportive. They actually may be have great adversity towards our walking up Kilimanjaro little by little. But we all know, and we must stand strong, that everyone is not going to agree with every decision that we make as educators, as parents, You have to be comfortable in knowing your true power and strength. Do your research. People have to do their own research if they want to really understand where you're coming from. And so many of us are comfortable and being uncomfortable, and it's hard for us to support others that are breaking free of those chains. So stand strong, be firm in your decision, try to be loving and kind, and at the same time, and sometimes you just got to call it what it is. You got to say, all right, this is the decision that I have made that I know is the best and most prosperous decision for not just this generation, but for a multitude of generations to come. And this is what we're looking at, not just our children today, but our grandchildren. We do this for our great-grandchildren and our great-great and great-great-great-great-great. And we just see how great it really is. It's so great. It's so beautiful. And you can do it. I did it. I'm still doing it. I'm growing. I made tons of mistakes, and I have had tons of triumphs. And if you don't homeschool, it's okay. If you haven't embarked on that journey, don't knock it. We have a responsibility to implement whatever we can at each and every stage that we're at. So come on through. Let's learn about ourselves. Let's learn about how to best educate our children. Let's grab onto the resources and let's walk this journey up Kilimanjaro together. So I say Kilimanjaro to the top, Kilimanjaro to the top, Kilimanjaro to the top. Ashe. All right, so in closing, I want to make sure that I extend the utmost gratitude. I want to say Dua, Asante Sana, Madasi Pa to all of you. Thank you so very much for being a part of this Liberated Minds experience. I am in great appreciation to all of you who have contributed to the excellence of the 2017 Black Sustainability Summit. And of course, I have to give the utmost reverence to the Creator, to the ancestors who consistently breathe life and spirit into the works of our true African liberation and sovereignty. To my beautiful family, I'm giving thanks to all of you brothers and sisters as well, extended family, everyone who has been there to support this mission and journey. Our collective efforts are powerful. This new paradigm is here, and we are truly going to make our mark. I also want to share more with you. I want to have the opportunity to share with each and every one of you any information that you need that I have. I want to be able to extend that to you because we are our greatest resource. I want to learn from you all, so please feel free to reach out at theliberatedmindsfrequency.com. My email is theliberatedmindsfrequency@yahoo.com, and my phone number is 678-368-8593. Don't be a stranger. Reach out. Let's make the connection. The Liberated Minds Black Homeschooling Education Institute is here for your everyday support, from educational resources to our family referrals, consultations. We also do workshops on how to basically bring out the genius in our African children. I also do consultations with that. We build custom curriculums for your families or for institutions as well. And we also teach you how to set up homeschool groups, homeschool co-ops. We do a little bit of it all. So reach out. I'm also currently touring and doing a host of parent educator workshops and speaking engagements as well. And I'm enjoying meeting you all as I'm seeing you and connecting with you at these different functions and gatherings and lectures and so on and so forth. Meeting just so many of you dedicated, committed brothers and sisters from around the world. So I welcome all of you to become a member of the Liberated Minds Black Homeschooling Education Institute and get all the access to all of the wonderful resources and everything that is for us by us. So once again, visit www.liberatedminds.com liberated.mindsfrequency.com. And I also want to make sure that you all get the information about the Liberated Minds Expo, which will be coming up in July. It's always the third weekend in July, so this year it will be our 6th annual, which is July the 14th through the 17th. That will be taking place in Atlanta, Georgia at the Georgia Piedmont Technical College Conference Center. And so for more information about that, because this is definitely a powerful weekend where we have all weekend long trainings. It is really like an African family reunion. We meet brothers and sisters from all around the world, from all across the country, who have been dedicated and committed to our African children and their cultivation and their growth. It is an incredible, just awe-inspiring weekend. So I really want to meet some of you there. I would love for you all to come through. We'll have trainings by some of our top scholars, our brothers and sisters in the community. We have workshops for the children. We have something for everyone. And in addition to that, we have anywhere from 75 to 100 exhibitors with curriculum materials and family needs, African family needs specifically for us, by us. So to learn a lot more about that, you can visit www.liberatedminds.expo.com, liberatedmindsexpo.com. However, once again, if you go to Liberated Minds, the Liberated Minds Frequency.com, you will get information on all of the above, on myself, on the Liberated Minds Educational Institute, and what's in store, and how you can get us to your city, to your town, so that way we can continue to build and continue forward. So much love and liberation. Hotep.